The SUV you see next to me, we've seen it before. We saw it at the Auto Expo last year and it was the Gravitas. But now Tata Motors is launching it as the new Safari. Yes, they're taking forward an iconic name and putting it on a car that we've been talking about for quite some time. I don't know whether that's a masterstroke or it's a blunder, that we'll find out. Because the Safari was really iconic. It was a car to die for at the times when I was growing up. It revolutionized the SUV industry in the country, and it was the aspirational car for not just thousands but millions. Well, coming back to the Safari, it is identical to the Harrier in most respects. The front end and actually the first 3/4 of the car are nearly the same. In the front there's just the change of the grille and the surrounds of the headlamps and maybe a little bit of elements that are changed. And it's only at the rear after the C-pillar that the car is totally different because it has to accommodate a third row of seats, and that makes it a 7-seater if so required, or a 6-seater. The mechanicals are also identical, and the Safari is powered by the same engine that is on the Harrier, a Fiat derived 2-litre diesel engine, and it comes with 2 gearboxes, a manual and an automatic, and both those are also identical to that on the Harrier. So let's take the car out for a spin and see whether the interiors are better and also how it drives like. So where the Safari is totally different from the Harrier is the rear, and as you can see, it starts with the height of the car. With the 18-inch alloys, it is higher. The roof also is not sloping downwards, but it's going up, unlike in the Harrier. So it gives it a more chunky and bigger, broader feel, just like on the older Safari. And then there are these small elements and the design that is really adventurous that Tata has gotten into its cars in the recent past. There's this black strip that goes right across, like on the Altroz, and the bold Safari lettering at the bottom, again premium. The skid plate and the bumper are also of a different color, giving it that rugged look. So overall it is a very pleasing design. But what they've missed out on is attention to some small details, like how to open the rear hatch. There's the release button here, that is all fine. But then how do you pull the heavy hatch up? There's nothing to hold on to. There's no recess here to put your hand in. But once you get it slightly up, then it's fine. And as you can see inside, there are the 3 rows of seats. The rear also has a decent headroom. But what is missing is storage space behind the rear seat, and that's where there's a slight difference from the older Safari as well. The seats were facing each other in the old Safari, and so there was plenty of space. Here you can of course fold either one seat or both seats at the back to liberate luggage space. On the inside, the Safari is essentially the Harrier, for the first 2 rows of seats at least. But there is one striking difference, and that is visible as soon as you open the door. It is the white leather seat upholstery. It is part of the oyster white interiors theme, and that makes the cabin look premium and upmarket, so to say. The dashboard, the instrument panel, the infotainment system are all exactly the same as on the Harrier. But there are some small differences, or rather upgrades as I should say. The multifunction display in the right half of the digital part of the display of the instrument panel has TPMS, that is tire pressure monitoring system, and that's an add-on. The other difference is that the front passenger seat also features the boss mode lever on the inside of the backrest, by which the seat can be moved forward and backward and can be easily operated by either the driver or by the passenger sitting on the back seat, the boss. The Safari now has an option of a 6 or a 7 seat configuration, with either captain seats in the second row or a 60-40 split bench. So the third row of seats is of course accommodated by the car being about 60 mm longer, even though the wheelbase is the same. So most of it is at the rear, and both access to the third row as well as the space inside for the third row seems to be better than most of the other vehicles in this segment, or maybe even a segment or two above. On the Safari, there is adequate headroom for a full-sized adult as well as adequate knee room, given that you can adjust the captain seat in the second row quite a lot, and of course the driver's seat can also be adjusted. So you have a comfortable driver seating position. In the second row, you again have enough and comfortable leg room and knee room, and on the third row there is enough knee room for a medium-sized adult. But the problem is behind the third row. If the third row is operational, there is absolutely no luggage space, so to speak of. Third row gets its own air conditioning unit with the switches on the right side. On the left side, there are two USB charging ports. The interiors also are the updated interiors that we've seen on the Harrier when they launched the automatic. So now the USB port here is more easily accessible, and the biggest change is the parking brake, which now is electric, unlike the manual parking lever that used to be there on the Harrier, that is there on the Harrier. What I do not like though is that although the screen by itself is looks to be of a good size, 8.8 inches is what Tata Motors says it is, but the usable display is really tiny. I mean, yeah, this is the actual usable display. It is not much. It's especially glaring when you put on Apple CarPlay, and the display here on the screen is actually smaller than that on my phone. So I'm driving the Tata Safari in and around Delhi NCR, some highways, some city roads, some good surfaces and some not so good. So let's start first with the powertrain. It is the same as that on the Harrier. There's not too much difference. Actually, the 170 PS with the manual gearbox is quite perfect. It's a 6-speed manual, so there is enough go on the expressways as well. The automatic which I was driving earlier, and which was the blue car that you see, it's a 6-speed old Hyundai gearbox. The gearbox itself is fine, but now everybody's moved to 8-speed gearboxes, Hyundai for example, and now driving a 6-speed automatic feels that there is something lacking. The gear shifts also are not as quick, but overall it is good for plodding around in the city. The ride quality, which used to be the highlight of the old Safari, on the new Safari the ride is fine. You can feel the bumps, you can feel the gaps in the expressway between slabs, and it is not as good as one would have expected, but it is fine, just like on the Harrier again, maybe slightly better. The steering does feel over assisted. It's not a problem when you are taking turns like this, but it is a slight concern when you are at higher speeds on motorways, etc. There are plenty of modes on the new Safari, and all these are electronics or electronics driven. So there is Eco, which puts you into an economic mode, which means it changes the engine map. Similarly, there is the sport drive mode, and there are various ESP activated modes as well, which are accessed through this knob here, and a rough road mode. And this is nothing to do with something changing on the car, but just the way the ESP will work. There is no four-wheel drive option as yet, and that's a big miss because the Safari was known for its 4x4 capability.
Don't be fooled with all the reclaim your life hashtags that you're going to be seeing all over social media. This is not a vehicle with go anywhere ability, missing the most basic ingredient for that, and that is four-wheel drive capability. So this Safari is right now a front-wheel drive vehicle, and it is good for bad terrain, in just so much so that it has good ground clearance, and that can help you take it off the road, but that's just about it. Add a few centimeters to the Harrier and put in a third row of seats, and the Harrier becomes a Safari. Well, it's not as simple as that, but in essence, that's the big story. Well, the Safari and the Safari Storm were essentially different vehicles from each other, but the new Safari is even more different from the Storm than the Storm was from the original Safari. But name games apart, the new Safari has a lot going for it. The Harrier was and is one head-turning SUV, and the Safari continues in the same vein. Many of the shortcomings on the Harrier were addressed with the launch of the automatic, and those have been carried forward to the Safari as well. And as far as the market for 6 and 7 seaters go, I don't think there's any other vehicle in this price segment that would be offering as much comfort for the third row. And if the pricing is competitive enough, the Safari might be taking numbers away from the 5-seaters as well. Indians, after all, like imposing looking vehicles, and the Safari is no slouch at that.